Thank you all for coming. My name is Devin Wendell. I'm the Athletic Director and Activities Coordinator here. I'm going to help lead the tour today. Feel free to ask any questions as we go along. I'm hoping our goal of this is to kind of show you guys the work that we've put into, looking at some of the renovations that we feel need to be done to the building. And I'm hoping that you guys will see some of that as we go throughout the tour tonight. So without further ado, we can get started. So right here in the main lobby, one of the big things we're looking to do is as people come into the building, you walk in and currently you can't really, you walk in and you don't really see anything saying like main office, enter here. It's just kind of a big brick wall with two long hallways. One of the goals is to kind of open that up, get some windows in there, have the office space be more viewable, keep better eyes on the lobby. So some of the things are just about keeping vision on the students, opening up these spaces and making it a little bit more pleasing as you walk in, and also letting some natural light into that office for some of our staff members. If you guys want to slowly just kind of follow along with me, we'll start heading this way. Yeah, come on in. So this is obviously our wood shop. We also have the distinct privilege of having a weight room inside the wood shop. So, you'll see little things like that throughout the tour tonight. A lot of pass-through classrooms, a lot of spaces where you have to go through something to get to another space. So that's something we're trying to reduce and minimize. We're trying to make direct access to a lot of our locations in the building. And this is actually in the current blueprint. We're looking to bring the library into this space and a learning commons into this front area of the building to allow it to be right at the front of the building and really maximize the use of this space. So, the weight room would be moved somewhere else. We'd bring the library and learning commons into this area to make it a commonly accessible space for everybody instead of having it tucked way back into the back of the building. So you'll see a lot more changes like that as we go throughout the tour tonight.
Is this space bigger than the current library?
It is not bigger currently, but with the change in the floor plan, it'll be adequate. It'll be about the same size, if not a bit bigger.
So when you say access, Devin,
Yep.
just clarify, you saying access not to just the school, but to the public so that they can use it without going through the school to get to the library?
Right, so and we've talked a lot about like getting more community access into the building, so that's definitely something we've looked at in the floor plans and looking at, how do we allow people to, get into the building.
Does the public currently have access to the school library?
To the school library, yep. They can get in. Really, our entire building is open to the public. You just need to ask to use it. Yeah. Okay. Yep.
So the wood shop would be moved?
So the wood shop would basically get moved back. So we'll kind of take a walk over there, but basically the wood shop is here. And then right on the other side of that brick wall is the facilities department. So the idea is that the wood shop, the trade program, so metal shop, applied architecture, all of those rooms that are kind of here and on the second floor, we're going to take them all together, reconsolidate them, put them onto the bottom floor, and put them into the back of the building. So all the tools will be in one spot, all the common spaces, all the boards, panels, the manual equipment will all be in one common location. So if our facilities department needed to come in and use the bandsaw, it's right next to them.
So you're swapping it with the library?
Correct. Yep.
And what is the Learning Commons?
So Learning Commons is kind of goes hand in hand with the library. So a place that students can come in. There'll be a couple of auxiliary spaces directly off of the library for some more controlled, quiet, smaller learning spaces. Yep. So yeah, those use that space. We'll kind of keep it open.
It's within a room. Great job.
And that's kind of what I was talking about with like trying to consolidate everything. Right now, you'd have to walk all the way around through the hallway to get to that space. Whereas we're looking to have them much more interconnected. So instead of having to, walk all the way around here to use the bandsaw, you're literally right in the next room to walk over and quickly use that. Yes.
So is that going to be part of the library space now?
Yes, we'd be expanding
Okay.
the learning commons and potentially small meeting rooms into this area down
And you
here.
still have computer labs off the library, or is that
We do not have computer labs off the library, but there's a couple labs that are now in this space up here in
Okay.
the other trade
And
skill
will that
areas.
go here now, or still stay there?
A lot of that is still kind of, so all of this right now, disclaimer here, this is all a concept. So this is like our, this is what we gathered thinking is the best plan currently. Things can change, okay? So what you guys are voting on is a very close approximate to what we are hoping will happen. Little things can change. They might see a blip and say, ooh, we can't put that there, so let's move it 10 feet down, okay?
I can add a little to that.
Yeah.
So there's an 11-month design phase, and we'll get into this in more detail in the presentation after. But should this pass, there's an 11-month process where a team of people talks about all the details involved in making what will be the reality come through. And you can imagine the cost of that 11-month phase. So that was an investment the board thought doesn't make sense to spend right now before we even know if the thing's going to pass. So that's why we stay at the conceptual level to begin with. Should it pass, we dive deep into those details.
So what level are we at right now? You say conceptual. I've seen rough drawings and plans. Traditionally, by the time you get to that point, it's too expensive to make significant changes, and so you're locked more or less into that vision. So will there be an opportunity for substantive changes during that 11-month period, or what we see is really what we're going to get unless there's a problem?
Yeah, so I think it's more the latter. What you see is more or less what you're going to get.
So
Whether it looks
people shouldn't
exactly
have the
same.
idea that they're going to get lots of input time for this 11 months. We're voting on a set plan. And that's
That
what-
still has a lot of details to get fleshed out, and it's those
Okay.
details that happen in the design phase.
Okay.
So do you know if that cement wall between the two buildings is a load-bearing wall or not?
I personally don't know that, but that has been the work that the architects have done, and then they work with the cost estimators from a different construction company to sort of take the conceptual drawings that they produced to estimate that out and have that conversation about can that really happen or can't that happen because of some of the structural components.
How many square feet is the current building?
Just shy of 170,000.
170,000, so what's that work out to per square foot of renovation?
So the cost per square foot of the construction costs, and we'll get into this too, there's construction costs and then there's soft costs, but the
Yep.
construction costs are about $170 a square foot. New construction right now is about $350 a square foot for commercial
In the
construction.
Northeast, yeah. Okay. Okay.
How many students do you have here? I don't even know.
So there's currently about 655, 58.
650 plus.
Yeah.
And how many are you planning for in the future?
Not more than that. So we anticipate some continued decline a bit, but it's getting to the point where it's about to plateau. We're not going to see the decline that we've seen in the last 10 years, I don't think, in the next 10 years.
So the facility is probably oversized
Yeah.
for the number of students we have and need.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, we can move.
For sure.
So did you get chicken pot?
I know, not yet. I'm good to go. Did you hear? No, what happened? She doesn't have it. That's good, yeah.
All right, so we're going to start to see kind of some of the accessibility issues in our current setup and some things that'll help to alleviate distractions during classes and alleviate disruptions, people walking through classes. Another big component, one thing is kind of part of that hidden curriculum, things that help students learn and keep students engaged. And one of the number one things is natural light. So as you can see in the back of that hallway there, when we were bursting at the seams in this school, almost all of these end hallways, there were offices erected within them. So that used to look right out to the mountains there. So it was no walls, lots of natural light pouring in through, and we've had to make some alterations in that. So some of the things we're looking at doing is consolidating those offices, removing them, allowing us to get some more natural light into the building. Study after study has shown that having a safe, bright, naturally well-lit environment aids students in learning. So that's one of our big goals moving forward. So we'll take a look at one of the tandem classrooms and what it looks like if I'm in one of the back classrooms and I'm not feeling well and I need to go to the nurse, what I have to do to get through the other classroom.
How many tandem classrooms are there?
Basically, this entire corridor right here is tandem classrooms, and also when we get to the other side of the building, there are many more. I do not know the exact count off the top of my head. This is all original. Pretty much everything you guys are going to see today, save the new wing, is original.
So they
completely
designed it originally as
what were they
tandem.
thinking?
Yeah, what's that?
No idea what people were thinking in
Did they think that was a good
1968.
idea?
I think
Hey, that's cool.
my best guess is that it was cutting edge at the time. It was a new
Well, there were
thought to
open
be able
classrooms, so
right.
they've been kind of
Yes.
along those.
Like I think right around that time was the same time some other schools like U32 were being built, and that was completely open. So I think the idea was that you could, if two classrooms wanted to engage with each other and collaborate with each other, you could just pull that slider, and learning hasn't really continued going that way.
They did that in Shelburne. They had three walls to a classroom, and the other
Yep.
wall was a hallway.
Yep.
So all day long. And now they just completely redid it.
Right.
So what are you planning on doing to these to make them not have to walk?
Sure. So basically the idea is that we're going to forge a corridor right down the middle of this and allow it so that the students you'll come in and then you'll be directly funneled into a classroom. I don't have a picture of it, so I don't know if I'm explaining that well, but each of these classrooms will be directly accessible. We'll have a hallway basically cutting in between these and shooting it. So we might lose a couple square feet off the classroom, but with our sizes, it's something that we can handle right now.
So this over here will be a hallway.
I don't know if that exactly will be a hallway, but each classroom will have direct access. We won't be walking, we will not be doing what we just did in this plan.
So you're still gonna have a bunch of classrooms that have absolutely no natural light whatsoever?
There will still be some classrooms with no natural light.
Correct. Turning the classrooms this way so
Yep.
everybody has it.
Yep, so the only real way around that is to bore skylights into all of those spaces, which financially we did not think was responsible. There are areas where we do want to do that, but to do that in every area was not something that, this number would be much more into the 40s if we had brought natural light into every single room in the building, so. Yeah.
So this space, it's often you have classrooms that have this sort of wall, a lot of schools have that. Why was it, and maybe you were answering this when I walked in, but why the jump through this way originally? Or what, and is this the actual
This is
original
all,
wall? This is
like I was
original.
mentioning earlier, almost everything you guys are going to see today, minus the new wing that was built just several years ago, is all original. Like that door is from 1969. So all of this stuff is what the school came with. Yeah. Right.
flexibility. Yeah, but I get it that way, I just don't get it
Right,
that
and
way.
that's the design flaw we're trying to remove is this. So if I'm Johnny and I need to go to the nurse, I get up out of my seat and now I'm walking through an entire another classroom where, you know, all those students, it's pretty easy, you know, oh, butterfly, you know? So I remember being a high school kid, so I was doing the same thing. So it's distracting, so it's something we're trying to cut down on for sure.
But it wasn't a design flaw in 1969. It was planned for a particular reason.
Right, and I'm not sure what that reason was. Yeah. But what we found is that in our current teaching environment, it's not working well, so it's something we'd like to address. Yep. All right, we'll keep moving this way.
No, just someone who they check in with every day or every week.
Right, so the difference is, so yes, last time with
Lots of twists and turns and snaking around through different kinds of
I don't remember seeing that.
You were made it last year.
Splitting up.
So these two are, basically all of these are like building trades. That's more of the middle school room. And then once they get into here, looking at more like the data CAD thing as we get over there. 3D printing, yep, yep. All right, how long get these lights on?
Some things, yes. A lot of things.
All right. So now we're in some more of the tech ed classroom space. This is a high school classroom. That one's primarily used as a middle school classroom. Again, you guys can notice that you're walking right through a classroom to get into another classroom, and same goes for this classroom, which has no direct access next to us. So one of the problems we currently have is that folks from the wood shop downstairs will make a project, they'll cut a board, they want to engrave it on one of our laser printers, and instead of being able to jump to that next room over and quickly put it down and have the teacher still being able to observe what the other folks in wood shop are doing, he has to stop everybody from what they're doing, take the student upstairs, laser engrave, come back downstairs. So from a supervision standpoint, being able to consolidate this room, that room, the far room that the metal shop that we're gonna take a look at, and the wood shop into one area with direct access to all of those spaces, that's one of the main reasons why we're looking to, drag everything in and put it in one common space. We're very spread out right now, so that's something we're looking to alleviate and to fix.
Do we know what these rooms are gonna be when they're no longer what they are?
So these classrooms, I don't know the exact class spaces, but they will be classrooms. They probably won't be this big. They'll probably be divided to fit more of that 20 to 25 student size. But they're not, I don't think we have a set like this will be science or math at this time.
And they'll all have direct access.
Direct access, yep.
I think there's a hallway coming like a U
Yeah,
to go through
exactly.
all the classes.
It's right. It's hard to imagine. We don't have the blueprint on here, but yeah, basically a big U with corridors off of that into each room.
Actually, concerning the classroom that we were just in.
Which room? That room?
The classroom we were just in.
Sure.
In addition to the renovations to the building and the rooms and all that stuff, is there, and I'm not saying we should or we shouldn't, is there going to be any upgrade in desks, chairs, whatever?
So glad you brought that up. So that is actually happening this year. So that is something that's actually not even going to be included. Well, there will be some of it, but we're doing a major furniture renovation this school year. It's going to be happening over the Christmas break or over the winter break, which should shave, because I believe they included a lot of that cost into this for each new classroom, getting a new desk, getting new chairs for the students, getting all of that. So that's something that we won't have to put out to bond.
Will that reduce the amount that
It should
is
help.
in here?
Yep. And just to be clear though, the number we're voting on is still 35, but it'll allow us to perhaps put in some of the things that we weren't able to fit. Some things that were wanted, yep.
Is the wording of the vote up to 35, or is it exact, or is it we vote to bond 35? Up to, yeah. That makes sense.
But once you take the bond out, you're obligated to spend all of it on this project. What happened in Lincoln is they had about $350,000 left over. So they had to go spend that.
So when they talk about there's soft costs, there's always a cushion, okay, and what that helps with is by having that furniture coming in already, that helps us with that cushion. So if we don't have to spend, if we come in at 34.5, we have that $500,000 cushion, so that we're not overspending the bond, because that's something we want to avoid desperately. So.
I had a question about construction services. I didn't really understand.
Where are you seeing that?
On the first page, it said in 2014 there was 0 budgeted for construction services, and this year it's $1 million for construction services. What is that?
So construction services is basically building upgrades and improvements. It's to fix large-scale problems, so like our HVAC units, any sort of large-scale painting operations, things that are deteriorating, basically like capital purchases to make the building safe and accessible. So what that money right there is going to be doing, that construction services line, that $1 million, the plan is to put it directly towards the bond vote, which is going to reduce the total cost of the bond. So the last time we looked to vote on this, it was 32 million, with nothing planned for in the current budget. That $1 million is already in our current FY18 budget. So it's in our budget this year. So if that money remains there, it'll help to bring that total tax dollar cost down. That's why, as you see here, I think, right, projected tax increase is $87.60 per $100,000. If you look back at the notes from the bond vote from 4 years ago, at 32 million, that number per $100,000 was significantly higher because we didn't have that $1 million line to put in.
However, we are still paying that. I mean, it's in the budget, and it's in the tax rate, and so it is being paid for already.
Already?
Yes.
Yes. Yep. So it's that money is already there. Yep.
So the tax rate has gone up since the first bond.
We haven't had a bond yet.
No,
The
that
first
$1 million.
bond vote.
That $1 million is a savings from something that was already in the budget.
Yeah,
No,
well,
That
that $1 million was voted on and is in this year's budget.
Right, but it was for something else, wasn't it? Didn't you guys have the bond for the wood chip and that?
That's
I
been
thought
paid
that-
off.
Right, but I
Yep.
thought that's what this extra money
There
came
was
from.
a surplus
That's what I thought.
that went into that $1 million line item.
Yes.
Yeah, so the taxes may have gone up, but that's a very complicated thing to figure out because you're talking about across the board taxes. It may have gone up since 2014, but with the $1 million in the budget now, it just makes the current affordability equation a little different, quite a bit different.
The two numbers that seem odd to me is a $32 million bond and a tax increase of $153 per versus the current bond and $87 per.
So
Why the big difference?
So the big difference is that, so instead of us, so that $1 million, for example, this school year, some of that money is being put directly towards new furniture within the building. So that is already money we are able to spend. That $1 million is currently budgeted into our budget.
You're already paying taxes.
You are already
on
paying
that
for that
$1
money.
million that they added since the last time, and it makes it look like taxes aren't going to go. Taxes won't have to go up as much to cover the bond now.
Well, except that some of that $1 million came from other sources, not from tax revenue.
So if you look at last year's Mount Abraham
wood boil.
Yeah.
So, right, but that should be going. Okay.
So what you guys should do is look at last year's, and I don't have these numbers on me, but last year's Mount Abraham overall budget and this year's Mount Abraham overall budget, even with the $1 million in it, is negligible difference. It's it was a very, very small difference, less than 1% if I'm not mistaken.
So does that mean the following budget, ignoring any bonding, will be level funded with normal increases? Or have we got to raise that $1 million on top in the 19 budget?
I think we've gotten, I think the point is, I'm not positive, correct me if I'm wrong, is that we've gotten used to paying for the wood chip boiler already. And rather than that coming back to us as a tax decrease, they've kept the money. And now that's being added into the equation. So in theory, if a bond is paid off, your taxes should go down, but that hasn't happened. It's being used to offset the cost of this, which I'm not saying I'm for or against this. I'm just saying that that's where the money is coming from.
I mean, Patrick would be the best person.
So we got that same savings in 19, excluding any construction. Is that $1 million level funded into 19, or have we got to rediscover $1 million?
So the $1 million is its own individual budget line. So the plan is to not have that $1 million line change. But the plan, so this year that money is being
with
spent.
no tax increase.
Correct. So
Okay. That's all
just
I
that
wanted.
line itself, yes. So the $1 million itself is, the plan is to keep it where it is, and as soon as we are able to start paying on the bond, that entire line is going right towards the bond payment, which is the reason why the percent is lower, which is why we're paying $87.50 on 100,000 instead of 150. Because last time we didn't have that $1 million that we could say this is going to be into our bond payment. So the idea is that we could either keep that $1 million and slowly upgrade certain parts of the building. You'd be surprised at how quickly $1 million goes over the course of many years, and say, okay, this year we're going to do these two small projects, this year we're going to do these. It's a lot of money every single year. By doing the $35 million bond now and pushing that $1 million a year into it every year is a much more financially responsible way to do that, if you look at it in the long run. Hope that helps. This classroom, I cannot get the lights to work, so we are going to. So we're gonna. I'm gonna have you guys come out through the hallway. I'm gonna see if I can get this stuff to work. But if you guys want to slowly make your way down that way, I'll pop out and meet you guys once I can get it to work. On the far end, even though all these light switches are.
That doesn't work.
They don't work. All right.
Oh, there's a sign.
Jason, I think it's time first.
That makes sense.
They can go that way too.
It's actually impressive that
The savings is still there before. So they got tax level, it's got $1 million. Okay, that's, I want clarity of it.
big deal, as it should be, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You guys can come right on through here.
So what is this room?
So this is drafting and design tech.
Okay, and this is the metal shop?
Metal
here?
shop, yep. So again, we're just going to kind of quickly move through these rooms because they're very much the same. And again, we're looking to consolidate. So all of these spaces we're hoping to bring down to the downstairs back of the back of the school, and make it so that it's a much more common space instead of so spread out from each other.
This all used to be downstairs.
All right, so we'll keep moving.
Make
Yep.
hallway, right out to there.
Better keep moving.
Right, and that's
Rid of the facility.
exactly. So what's going to happen is there's going to be kind of a cut in like this. It's going to come in, and off of that, there's going to be direct access to every classroom.
Faculty stuff leave.
It's going to come in right behind it, I believe.
You've heard the term Chinese fire drill. Well, that's about what this building would be right now if they had a fire go out with these rooms. 1,000 people pouring out.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, you can see how squished it is coming into these spaces. All right, so now that I just brought everybody in here, we're going to keep moving. That's the other goal, is to corral them all and put them in one area.
Studying issue. I mean,
But the location, right, the location will be enclosed and far enough
but
away
that's a
from the other
problem
spaces.
now, right? It's the noise or not?
To some extent. I mean, you know, if you think of these spaces, they're far enough away from those classrooms that it's not a huge issue. And same with the wood shop, but like, for example, the kids in our nurse's office, if they're laying down not feeling well, and you got the bandsaw going on the other side of that, you know, that wall, it's pretty noisy. Yep. So we're going to take a quick walk down here. We're going to show you guys the current condition of some of the locker rooms and some of the upgrades we're looking to do to those. And also, just as a note, since it's something we can't really view right now, one of the big proposals in this bond vote is a second gymnasium to allow for the overflow that we currently have. Basically, especially during the winter season, the gym is in use from 6 a.m. in the morning, practices for teams till 9 o'clock at night. And the teams that don't get to use the gym are typically just sprinting up and down these hallways. So that other space is going to help our PE department, and I'll show you the room that they currently use as their secondary space or gym. Stay.
Smells cool.
Going swimming?
Pool is downstairs. We'll hit that on our way back to the cafeteria. So what we have here is our wrestling room. So you guys aren't seeing it in its full-fledged in-season component, but once you hit the winter, there are wrestling mats all over these floors, and our wrestlers use them every day. In addition, since the kids aren't outside, they're either in the pool, the gymnasium, or in this room. Typically, middle school's up in this room. And as you can see with a class of 35 or 30 kids running around, it's a pretty small space for that type of activity. Not to mention the mats don't sit flush on the ground. They're very close to the tables, so almost every year we have a couple kids with broken toes, injuries. Not to mention the mats have to be cleaned regularly to avoid any sort of skin diseases, which we don't want to have happen. So this space also directly off of it are two locker rooms. So you have the middle school girls locker room there and the middle school boys locker room here. The state of those locker rooms is in dire need of repair. Another reason we're looking to do some renovations to the spaces. And I believe Patrick, Patrick's in here. The current idea is to bring these two locker rooms and give it direct access to the pool. Is that correct? And to expand this space to allow it to be more open?
Perhaps expand, but certainly be thinking about storage. That's a real concern here, that there's insufficient storage. So for example, I don't know if Devin said this already, but when wrestling season starts in the next few weeks, they roll out these wrestling mats that more or less fill this space. Those mats stay down until April, probably. So when middle school PE classes come up here, middle schoolers are taking their shoes off and they're having PE class in here in their socks, and it's just sort of limited. So the locker rooms go away, we get some storage, those mats can be rolled up and stored away, and the space would be more flexibly used.
And the other thing it'll do, having those locker rooms attached to the pool, will eliminate kids showering here, going into the pool, getting wet, walking back across the hallway, getting water all across the floors, getting water in these locker rooms. So they'll have a direct connection to the locker rooms off of the pool. And we'll retain the same number of locker rooms.
So correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
But I thought there was going to be a an addition on the back of the building and that was gonna be a gym?
Correct. And that will also have access.
So you're gonna keep this as a gym,
Wrestling room. Yep.
the other gym, and then
Yep.
another, so you have like 3 gyms.
Kind of, yes. The hope is that, so in this room, there's a lot of things we can't do. So one of the ideas we had in the new gym was to make it a much more durable, hardy place. For example, like, I mean, we all know that spring sports start in March here in Vermont. There's no way any of our teams are practicing outside in March, so that means baseball's throwing baseballs in the gym, lacrosse is throwing lacrosse balls. If you go down and look at the bleachers, I mean, almost every bleacher panel has a hole in it. So we're looking into different compounds that'll be a much more durable space. Like, we couldn't bring our lacrosse team or baseball team up here and have them, you know, throwing things around. I think it'd be pretty dangerous.
So the proposed new gym would be on the back of the building?
Correct.
And I'm assuming somebody's taken into account that the gravel pit is slowly crumbling every year?
All part of the conversation. Yeah.
Why the back of the building and not some other direction?
Yeah, so one of the main reasons we didn't build off the front of the building was because of the massive expense with the power that comes in through the front of the building and some of the water and septic lines that are coming that way. To move that was going to be a major cost, and it's something that we wanted to avoid spending that money on.
So your gym can fall off the cliff, or you have the major cost?
I think we're going to look for ways to stabilize so that that doesn't happen.
It's actually been studied. I think I was talking with our facilities director. That bank has been studied 4 times by 4 different firms over the past 15 years or so as different things went up, like the wood chip boiler. That prompted a study to make sure the wood chip boiler is not going to fall over the bank. So the architects in proposing the gym there did look at all the recommendations and look at the stability of the bank before saying, yeah, that's a viable spot. And there's money in this to do the stabilization work to make sure that the bank doesn't continue to erode. So we don't want to be putting all the money into the school and then just watch it all slide off the bank, for sure.
So Patrick, they were originally going to put the previous on the south side of the building. So why is it not there versus, why did they switch it?
So the last time around, there was a theory of really trying to separate middle school and high school. That's less of a concern now. We're really looking for more flexibility in space. And if you put the gym on that end, then you have one community space over there, and you have sort of the rest of spaces that could be accessed by the community on this end. Putting the gym over here keeps it all in the same relative location. So in terms of allowing access to the community spaces and denying access to the rest of the building, there's a little bit more control factor.
Why is it less of a concern now? The separating the middle school and the high school, why is that less of a concern?
Just it's the space is being used much more flexibly. I think a lot of people refer to that sort of new addition as the middle school addition. The reality is there are high school classes down there. Middle schoolers and high schoolers are separated to some extent, but there's a lot more sort of mixing than the thought was 4 years ago to keep them separate.
What grades?
7 to 12.
So here's the movies on the back here?
Those are gone now.
Those are gone, so that's where the new gym would be.
Correct.
And then what about this corridor here, when you're saying direct access to the pool from the locker rooms? Where will the locker rooms be put if, because at this point you still have to cross the
We'll get to
wall.
see sort of a footprint of the project, and it'll probably make sense then. But the new gym would go more or less directly west of the pool, and in between the new gym and the pool, where sort of the gym would connect to the rest of the building, that's a space that would have the locker rooms. So they would serve dual purpose of locker rooms for the pool, locker rooms for the new gym addition.
So even the locker rooms down here are gonna get moved?
So the locker rooms that are down next to the gym right now stay where they are. Fit and finish upgrades, but they stay where they are. And then sort of across the hall and on the other end of the pool is where the other set of locker rooms would be.
Which gym's gonna be the main gym, the senior gym, the basketball? I hope the new gym's the bigger gym. Haven't been squeezed in.
So the original gym the plan is for the original gym to be the main space that'll continue to house our varsity games, because because we just put in a brand new gym floor, and we're looking to replace those this spring, so we're on it. Trust me, I've sat there for a while. So, and the new gym again is going to be we're going to attempt to build it in a much more durable fashion. Much more. One thing we talked about was having much more of a flexible space. So if another classroom wanted to come down and use it for some sort of team game or group circle, something. Potentially rock climbing walls, some sort of, just to expand learning opportunities and to also allow it so that if I'm humming a lacrosse ball at 80 miles an hour, I'm not going to break 3 things in one throw. So that's the goal with that.
So Devin, is it going to be more of like a field house type?
That's part of the conversation, to just finding the most durable materials that are going to be cost effective and that are going to last. Yep. But yeah, potentially rubberized gym floor. We're having conversations about the bleachers.
But the trick is you don't want to also lose some flexibility. So if you wanted to host basketball games on there, what you put down for a floor has an impact on how feasible it is to do that. So there are a lot of considerations in what makes the most sense.
I was just curious, this for me, the wrestling room, and kind of like a PE space.
Yep.
And with a new gym, you'll have a little less crowding, maybe not quite the crazy practice schedule that you currently have to do.
Right. I think has anybody in here been the parent of a junior JVB or freshman athlete yet?
No.
So was anybody an athlete here? Yeah, right. So you're talking probably over 20 6 a.m. practices throughout the winter, and then you go and you play a 7:30 p.m. game the next night, and then you're in the gym the next morning at 6 a.m. practicing. It's pretty rough on those kids. Not to mention the parents that get to drive them down from South Starksboro.
So the schedule is practices start at 6 a.m. They end at 10.
9. So 9. 6 a.m. classes right up until 2:45, and then there's teams running in there at 2:45, 2:47 now, and going right until 9 o'clock. And a lot of times that last group is stretching their practice a little bit because they didn't get on the court until 8 or 7:40.
And that schedule is with some teams practicing at Bristol Elementary School and some teams with very limited access to the gym. I'm thinking about middle school basketball players get a few times a week for half an hour and they get half the gym.
Yeah.
And the rest of the time they're in the halls.
So if you're a middle school student, you get 45 minutes in the gym, hopefully 3 to 4 times a week, and then you're running the hallways for the other 45 minutes. So coaches have to be extremely creative. It really bottlenecks that as well, especially for me when I'm trying to find people that can work from 3 to 4:30. That group of people is very rare, so it's tough to find coaches at that level. So it's tough all around. So having that extra swing space would allow us to really open up the schedule, get kids home before 9 o'clock at night, and completely eliminate 6 a.m. practices.
And you mentioned swing space, which is an interesting topic. Yeah. So with a project this size, so in order to renovate portions of the building, the kids that are in those portions have to go somewhere else. So the last project I think proposed having to rent mobile classrooms. The benefit of adding a gym to this, not only does it alleviate some of the pressures Devin was just talking about, but it also creates some space where you can move kids into for classes, which opens up some portion of the school to be renovated and just gives you some flexibility in how you move kids. The more flexibility we have as to how we shuffle kids during the phase of this project, the sooner the project gets done and the less it costs. So there's an added benefit to having that space there.
For the shifting classrooms, would it be like an entire semester that a class would be outside of its usual space, or would it be a full year? How
I think it'll
long?
be much more flexible than any really set timeline. It depends a lot, I think, on how long the construction takes. So it depends on a lot of variables. The more space we can make available at any given point, the faster the project gets completed, the less cost it is, the less we're sort of dealing with the disruptions. So that's going to be that balancing act between how much of a disruption is it to learning to move kids, and how much do we try to stretch the project out.
What degree of faculty been involved in the planning process, like science faculty with the lab planning, or athletic faculty with athletics, that sort of thing?
I was going to turn that over to Devin because he is a faculty member. The question was, to what extent has the faculty been involved? And I thought rather than have me tell you, to hear it from a faculty member.
So Jess Berowitz, our principal, has reached out on several occasions and gotten feedback from our students, our faculty, sending out surveys, direct links, inviting them and making them aware of all of the times that have been available during our committee meetings to offer feedback and input as we went through the process. So I think we got a lot of good feedback from them, and we're able to set up the priority list, which we then shared with the architects, which has kind of led us to this point. And across the board, it was pretty consistent things. So the priorities basically shaped out to, so natural light, second gym, renovating the main office and lobby, fresh air and ventilation, eliminate tandem classrooms, the library and trades switch, work on the renovating the auditorium, renovating the locker rooms, which you feel free, there's nobody in that locker room. If anybody wants to pop that door open, feel free to take a look and you can see what we're talking about with renovating locker rooms. And then, swinging, consolidating tech ed to the first floor. And then from that, beyond that was the base of the project has always been the things that need to be done. So asbestos removal, ADA accessibility, the needs, the stuff that we can't really go on without. So making sure we have an elevator that can adequately fit, fit a wheelchair in it and make sure it can get to the second floor. Making sure that we're completely accessible as a school. Those things were built into the base of this. So we didn't even have to really debate on any of those. So I want to keep this moving along, so feel free to take a peek at that locker room and we'll keep moving.
Yeah.
Showers looked like this 10 years ago when I was wrestling here. Yeah. Hard thing to do.
I guess you have to. It's not my inclination.
Yes.
This may be fine, but that's fine.
Yeah. Steam and chemicals that have been rising. So this is our pool hallway, so you can kind of see, this is probably one or two people have walked across this area. At certain times of the day when there's 20 plus swimmers in this space, this is just drenched with water. So if you are walking by, not only is it a hazard, but it just doesn't look very good. So the goal is to put the locker rooms directly off of the west end of the pool, which would then lead out to the new gym space, so that it would completely eliminate students from having to come this way.
Would there be any kind of back entrance for that space as well?
Correct. And then the other thing we're trying to do is, again, we're really trying to promote accessibility. So making sure that gym space would be accessible to the public, something that can be directly accessed, and not something that's tucked away, hidden inside the building.
Well, and that would let you kind of close down and lock down the rest of school.
Exactly.
You can still use
Exactly. So if just one person's renting the facility for a weekend tournament or something, we can say, okay, well, the gym is open, go for it, but this space is. Then the custodians don't have to open up the entire rest of the building as they go through that.
Somebody work on signage. It's a bit of a maze.
It's a bit of a maze.
Either color coding corridors or better signage or something like that to help people get around.
Yeah.
Particularly young students find their way.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. All right. We'll keep moving.
I know. Well, you know what? That's what I'm saying is if we want to go. Right now, I think they're all up there. I'm very tired. I know. Well, that's very often. I know.
Get up high. had to get up there and get it down.
Are you playing basketball this year?
All right, so as you guys come in, so obviously this is our auditorium. Again, just like most of the building, basically everything in here is original. So you can see a lot of this was, designed potentially to be able to take notes, to do testing, notepad, that kind of thing. These chairs, has anybody sat through a musical in these? Yeah, who wants some cushions? So these are something that we're looking to renovate, make it a bit more modern, new seating, to add more seating. Currently with a musical, we typically have all of this, and then right through the middle is all lined up metal chairs like you're seeing here. So the other thing is, Patrick, collapsible bleacher system.
Yeah, so a dividing wall. So there's some large space here that's pretty underutilized during the school day on a sort of day-to-day basis, in part because of kind of how it's set up. So trying to think about ways this space might become more flexible and actually get used a little bit more by creating the dividing wall, so sort of this back section could be separated off but can then open up when we have the big performances. And then having this space back here be flexible enough with seating and whatnot to accommodate a few different needs. So again, the more uses you can get out of the space, I think the more bang for your buck you get for having the square footage.
Are you going to have the same amount of seating?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, we can
and hopefully,
this place is
right,
packed
and hopefully more. So like right here, the rise and run. So if those bleachers were collapsible, it'd be on a bit higher seating column, and hopefully we could fit a couple extra seats in that way.
Will there be any renovations to like the sounding for performances and stuff?
Yep.
The sound system and lighting and stuff?
That's definitely part of the plan, and we actually were just able to do some upgrades this past spring on some of the audio and lighting setup. So we're on the right path there. A lot of times we have to rent equipment to put on some of the shows here, and the goal is that we own all of that stuff in-house so that it's more of a flip of a switch instead of having to contact the vendor, get it in for those 2 days, and then quickly return it to them.
And the plan would certainly be some of the things that were just recently purchased and are new, we keep those things, they're functioning great. So it's not going to be just throwing everything out that we've already purchased. We'll be smart about what needs to get done and what doesn't need to get done.
One of the budget line items that I was surprised at, and one of the budgets I looked at was the price of a curtain. I want to say that was like $250,000. Is it? I've never bought a big curtain.
I was surprised too. We worked in a school before we moved to Bristol, and the curtain needed to be replaced, and there was a donation. It was a private school, but yeah, it's a staggering amount of money.
The curtain business is a good
And I think one key point to remember is that those line items can be kind of terrifying. I mean, I was somebody who sat on the committee and I'd see this item and be like, oh my God, like, what is that? So, but the thing to remember is that these are things we're hoping last for an extremely long time. This building is getting us through its, how many years? 40, almost 50 years. And most of this stuff is still original, and the problem is it's really starting to show its age. So we're hoping that a lot of the improvements that we do last for 50 years and only then start to show their age after that mark, or hopefully even beyond. So it is a big investment up front, but the goal is that it's going to get us through a very, 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 very long time. So we'll swing out this way now. And actually, if you guys want, you can also use that just to kind of speed up the flow of traffic. You guys can go right back out there and meet us down this hallway on the left.
It's just.
All right, so as we filter in, so obviously we're in the library. Directly off of the library, we have our tech department right over here. There's a meeting room back here. We have a couple of classrooms off of this space and then a back exit. And then we have 2 more classrooms here. So again, this is that area that we're looking to do that larger scale swap with the tech ed department to bring them down to the first floor. This is far enough away from other classrooms that the noise of like a bandsaw or a rotor wouldn't be interrupting those classes. And again, we're trying to bring the facilities department, loading dock, all of that stuff to the back of the school. The other thing is that we're looking to put a road around the back of the school so that delivery trucks can simply swing right around and not have to back in. They can come up, drop their stuff, and continue right around that loop, which will also alleviate a lot of the front bus issue that we have. I don't know if anybody's ever tried to get out of here at 250, but it is exciting to say the least. So again, this is just that area we're looking to do the swap with the tech ed, wood shop, and the trade skills departments. Gives them almost identical square footage, and vice versa with the library and learning commons space.
What about noise in regards to the theater?
Yep. So that wall, the way the construction will go, so you have a double-sided wall here, which we can sound insulate, and then that wall as well, sound insulation on the other side. So the architects did not think that there'd be any sort of noise issues. They have some pretty good technology to block out sound, so
yeah.
Should be
What's
safe.
directly above here? Anything?
Science. Yep.
I think one of the things that's interesting as we're in the library, so one of the things that makes Mount Abe unique is that it's the only high school with a pool. We might also be one of the only high schools whose library has no exterior window. Like there's no light that comes into the library. So moving that to the front, as you'll see in some of the images and the front of this flyer, brings a lot of natural light into this space.
Does that mean that technical education doesn't need light, or will they get some?
They will get some.
They'll get some. Right. So because imagine that wall not being there, and these interconnected classrooms will have, windows in the back there. So imagine that wall not being there.
Is there anything being done about noise from here going up?
Absolutely. Yep. So sound insulation is a huge thing. The school I just came from, the entire bottom floor was built under the gymnasium, and they had to do serious work to make sure that balls bouncing around didn't cause disturbances to the music classes, which were directly underneath it. And it did a great job, and the noise cancellation was very, very good, and vice versa. Like you couldn't hear a big chorus coming up through during the middle of a basketball game, and you couldn't hear the bounds smashing the ground while they were rehearsing. So, these architects have some pretty great things at their disposal to allow for noise cancellation. And that's about it for this area. We have a few more minutes, so we'll kind of finish up the tour as we will go out back through that door, take a right, and we'll go through kind of the middle school and the new wing, and then we'll make our way back to the cafeteria. They changed like this, like the floor plan, but I believe this space was original, like the walls, but they kind of moved the desk around. So now we're heading into the middle school wings, and we're going to show you guys a couple more of those tandem style classrooms, those interconnected classrooms. Luckily with these, you don't have to actually walk through a classroom to get to another classroom, but they are connected with a divider. This is
the middle school area?
This is the middle school,
Okay,
yeah.
so this is the new part.
Nope, not yet. So I think that's a lot of people get the middle school and the new wing confused because they're right next to each other. The new wing mainly houses high school classrooms. It's just beyond the middle school. The 4 teams are still located, so this is a team, and then we have same thing upstairs, same thing on the far side, and then same thing down below. And then as we go this way, you get into the new wing. But again, so this is one of the tandem classrooms, so it's got the walk-through door, the divider. Again, this is all original, so we're not in the new wing yet. This is all original construction. Has anybody ever been in the classroom that's just above this at any point between August and the end of September, and then again from May to June? Anybody? What's your experience? Extremely warm, right? So I suffer in my office with just the heat that pours in from the backside and the pool and the heat. But these classrooms, when you have 30 students in them and a teacher, and that sun is hitting the side, and it's 90 degrees outside, there's really no ventilation right now. So it makes it oppressive. We have students taking breaks because it's so hot that they're literally sitting there taking their test just sweating. It's a really tough learning environment, so that's something that we're looking to fix with updating our HVAC systems, and again, making some better airflow throughout the building. Did anybody, who peeked their head into the locker room that was up in the wrestling room? You guys could hear those air handlers, right? Kind of like rumbling, roaring. So those are all original. So those are the things we're slowly starting to upgrade throughout the building, and it's much needed. We have a lot of people that walk into the main office, one of the few areas with AC, and they're like, oh, I'm gonna stay here for the next 20 minutes. So, and you guys should actually feel a difference as we walk into the new wing as well, which has much better ventilation. So we want to make our way out. So this is the line you guys just crossed over. This is the new wing. A common misconception is that this is the middle school wing. This is we actually house more high school classes down here. And as you can feel, it's kind of like walking into a completely different building. So it's the walls are nice and bright. The doors are new. The doors have windows in them. There's better lighting in this area. The floors, just things that are nice and people respect as they come in. A lot of times we find that students respect things that are upkept and looking nice, and we want to keep them nice. If something's already deteriorating and broken, that's when we get the kid that kind of gives it that last little nudge to break whatever that object is. So having something that's a bit more new, something they'll respect a bit more, will certainly aid us in the future. So we're gonna kind of just take a big loop, and I'll show you guys the interior of one of these classrooms versus the other classrooms.
But I remember it. I bet it's 2003.
2003, your girls would be here, somewhere close.
It probably takes a minute.
And they're coming.
You gotta walk in there.
Are they all motion? There we go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna open up this door too, so they're pretty much identical.
Wow.
Oh, I have way more light. Don't ever need to repot. Just
Keep it coming.
yeah.
One of the older classrooms and one of the newer classrooms. So as you can see, they built that corridor especially to let that natural light in, so every classroom has a window off of it. All of those exterior classrooms have windows off of them. And again, just to promote having that natural sunlight coming in, a bit more bright colors, lighter wall paint, and just a bit more updated setup. As you can see, a lot of these are, however, original desks, which are showing their age.
Is there a ceramic shop?
Yes.
Studio?
Yep, it was up in the, we walked through the tandem classrooms on that far side. It's the room right next to it.
And is that moving with the other makers' places?
I believe that is staying there because of some of the ventilation and the kiln work that was done. I think there was talk of it actually moving into this room right there that we were just in, but I don't know if we confirmed that was happening or not. Because right now jewelry and that room are connected to each other, which actually kind of works because it's the same teacher, so he teaches one in one class, so there's not a huge like traffic flow issue in those rooms. And with the kiln ventilation, it's one of those ones where it'd be a much more costly move, so that was one we were looking to keep in the same spot.
And Devin, when was this addition put on?
I want to say it was 06. I think it was 06.
We were still in school. Yeah.
I think it was quite a bit after I left.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember that.
But they changed all the crew names before
Right.
that.
They changed
Because I remember
all
my
the time.
kid in my senior class, Matt Booby was the one that came up with them at that point.
What were yours?
Mine were blue, gold, and maroon.
Right. All right. So we have time. We're going to take a quick tour of a couple of the upstairs classrooms, and then I'm going to go get you guys to the cafeteria for the more confined informational portion.
Somebody didn't want to for me, yeah.
So this is one of the science classrooms. As you can see, some of this equipment is really starting to show its age. Just some parts have been falling off. We've had to replace and cover a lot of the spaces. So we're looking to do some upgrades to these units here. In the other room, which one of our teachers is currently working in, we're looking to replace the hoods and make some upgrades to making sure that none of the chemicals and gases are escaping, and making sure that the students can perform all of their science experiments safely and in a nice, clean, and controlled environment. Right now, one of the big things we're lacking is direct storage, and direct storage which is lockable and safe. So right now, as you can see, yes, we can put stuff there, but none of it is stuff that is locked. So we can't put hydrochloric acid up there or something that we want to mix into making a solution. So having something that's directly accessible to the teacher when they're in here, and just making some direct improvements to the storage and accessibility. And that is.
Sorry, where is it stored now?
It's in these back closets. So you have to walk across the hallway, go into the closet, grab your stuff, and then come back. So you have, you can't send a student to go do it, so now you have an unsupervised classroom.
Are they gonna put a drain in where the shower is
Yes,
too?
and that, so.
It's just like.
Yes, so there, in that other room, there is a pull-down shower, which was installed in case somebody got a chemical burn. And funny enough, I was one of the first classes to pull that thing, and we quickly realized that there was nowhere for that water to go. There was no drain installed into the floor, so we had to quickly find somebody to shut that water valve off, and then we got a nice leak through the floor. So it's still hooked up in there, but there's no drain in the floor. So that's another thing that will be happening, making sure that if there's any classroom with chemicals or hazardous material, that a student has a place to wash their eyes out, wash their skin off, and if needed, wash their entire body down, and have it not flood the bottom floor into the wood shop. Yeah.
I'm definitely noticing how little windows there are, like you said, having never been in here before. I know you don't know for sure everything, but what percentage of rooms would have more windows or light?
So it's just
Is that
chatting with
ballpark?
Brad about that, and it sounds like we're looking, the second floor is going to be pretty well equipped with natural light, because that process is not nearly as overwhelming as drilling a skylight like through. We'd have to go like all the way from the roof through one of these walls down into a classroom on the bottom floor, whereas bringing in light into a classroom like this would be a pretty simple.
You're saying the roof is right here. Yeah.
Correct. Yep. So there'll be a much higher percentage on the second floor with some good natural light coming in.
And the ventilation in the labs will be improved.
Much improved. Yeah, like the hoods in that other classroom are not the greatest. So.
Is there any plans on the road to incorporate solar into your systems?
They're looking into the feasibility of it because we have a flat roof. There's certainly some drawbacks and concerns, as there are with some of the skylights and how much the roof can handle. And I believe part of the other problem is, will it void the warranty on the roof that we currently have because we just redid it? So we're kind of juggling that with the architects right now.
Or what about putting solar panels like in the dump or something, somewhere close by? But
Sure. Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of real estate to
Down
work
the road.
with. So yeah, so there's, if we can find a feasible place on campus, it's certainly not out of the question.
Is that part of the budget currently?
In this, no. Solar was not incorporated. It was definitely part of the conversation, but we couldn't get a clear answer, so we didn't feel that we could put it out to the voters with a straight face say this is a good idea. So.
And that's something you could add later too, if it was somewhere on the grounds.
Correct. Yep.
Yep.
All right, so I got to get you guys to the cafeteria for the presentation. Does anybody have any questions as we make our way back down there for this group? Great.